What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Overpowered Part 9. Let's try to hit 500 to 600 likes again, please. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Thank you so much to all my supporters, all my limit breakers that have joined my channel. What If Goku Was Too Overpowered will be coming out soon. And what if Issei was emotionless, or what if Issei was completely evil, or what if Issei was evil will be the next series. And yes, I will be continuing the dimensional gap one. I'm just taking a while right there. So thank you for all the support. Thank you to all my balance breakers: Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Crumbling Darkness Fear, Mr. Wolf, Ant Lewis, The Beast YT3, Shade Fox, VR Wolf #2347, Jordan Patchow, Mazaku, Dr. _MLG _ is the bomb, Asimodus, Grim Fireshot Gamer, Blandon Lieutenant Riley. Thank you so much to all my balance breakers. Do you guys want to see another live stream by any chance? I'll probably live stream anyway, but like, I want it to be like a planned one, and I'll probably announce it on the community tab. Just let me know down in the comments below. Without further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD in Chapter 25. Issei was standing in front of the screaming Rainier. His revenge could finally happen. He was going to make sure that Rainier would suffer before she could die. Leaving the woman on the ground, Issei began walking towards Kokobile. The amount of hatred, negativity, and killer intent had restricted many of the beings in the proximity in their movement and abilities to fight. Issei walked straight towards Kokobile. Slowly, Kokobile was beginning to retain his composure against the monster in front of him. However, before the powerful fallen angel could deal with Issei, someone else rushed towards Issei, a rogue fallen angel, one of the many that Kokobile had brought into the battlefield before to kill Rias Grimory. "This is for," the fallen angel says. Issei simply ripped the spine out of the fallen angel before the fallen angel exploded into black feathers. The action was seen by many. "You monster," another fallen angel said. Another one flew straight towards Issei. Until that fallen lost their wings, Issei ripped the wings straight off the fallen angel and shoved it straight down its mountain's throat. The fallen began screaming for mercy. Over time, the fallen had finally died in a brutal way and exploded into black feathers. Kokobile took note of this. Issei hadn't stopped walking towards Kokobile. "This isn't the Juggernaut tribe that I've been expecting. This is something way different," Kokobile says. Issei continued walking, ignoring whatever anyone was saying to him. Then a thought came across Kokobile's mind. Something that could ruin people's lives. "May have happened due to the death of God and the inability of the sacred gear system," Kokobile said out loud. Once the news dropping was found out, everyone in the area was surprised at the news. "You disgusting crow! Stop with such vile lies," Zenovia says. Irina was in the area as well. She was beginning to panic after hearing such news. "Oh, did Michael never tell you the truth? During the Great War, not only did the four Satans die, but the one and only father of the angels was killed as well. Why do you think the Holy Sword Project was even able to happen? If the Lord above was able to see such vile acts, wouldn't he prevented such acts?" Kokobile said. Kokobile was enjoying seeing the reactions of many believers of the church beginning to have the entire crisis. However, Issei was still walking as if nothing bothered him. "Issei Hyodo, did you even hear a single thing I stated?" Kokobile said. "God could die for all I care. I lived without him. I got stronger without him, and that doesn't mean anything to me," Issei said. Kokobile, in rage of seeing and hearing Issei's monotone response, screamed the heavens before preparing for battle, running towards the boy with his new spear, the spear that was given when entering the balance breaker form of the downfall spear. Kokobile swung horizontally, expecting Issei to do at least block the blow, but the spear was blocked by a heavy armor set that Issei had. Continuing the onslaught, Kokobile began forming light spears around him, stabbing into the boy, but the light spears shattered the moment they came into contact with the armor. "No, this can't be happening," Kokobile said. "What's wrong?" Issei replied. Issei spoke in such a dark tone, devoid of any positive emotions, a rough tone that sent shivers down Kokobile's spine. Issei slowly moved his hand forward, and in an instant, slice, ripped Kokobile's arm straight off that was holding the spear. Looking down at his missing arm, Kokobile was beginning to panic. This wasn't the normal Red Dragon Emperor anymore. This was a monster. He didn't even hesitate to rip his arm off, nor did he show any remorse in doing so. Issei watched as Kokobile began backing up and quivering in fear, once seeing the crimson eyes shifting to stare right into his own eyes. Issei quickly decided to end this show. In an instant, Issei ripped apart Kokafil with his own hands. Exploding into black feathers, Issei watched as Rainier, he was trying his best to roll away. Shalba was seen standing. He was petrified at the sight of Issei ripping apart Kokaville with little ease. What the hell? This can't be happening. Your power wasn't this immense. This isn't even the Juggernaut Drive, Shalba said. Shalba was going to run away, but his legs wouldn't move. Issei purposefully detected the fullest extent of his killer intent towards the man, forcing him into stumbling upon the ground from the pressure being released upon him. However, before Issei could kill Shalba, "I won't die in such a pitiful way," Shalba said. Shalba quickly began transferring all of his energy into a signature point above his massive hole in his stomach, such from when Issei stabbed straight through Shalba's body with his illegal Triana transformations. Red Dragon Emperor, if that is what I should call you, you may have killed us this time, but there is something that you should know. There are hundreds of us. You will fail miserably, Shalba finished. Shalba quickly shot his blast towards Issei, putting all into his beam, while Issei walked through the beam, approaching the devil with each step shivers down his spine. He knew that it was going to be the end of his life, but he didn't know how he was going to die. A hand went straight through the beam and grabbed Shalba by the neck, lifting the devil into the air and began slowly squeezing the life out of him. Shalba was exhausted to the point where he couldn't even fight back anymore. That was when everyone began to watch as Issei began forcefully his draconic magic into crushing Shalba's entire body, burning his body. "No!" Shalba said. Shalba quickly released, looking up at Issei. He was expecting Issei to pummel him into nothingness. However, he was met with something worse. Boost! Issei began spreading his hands into the air. With enough time, boost! Explosion! Finally, a powerful magic circle began forming around the area where Issei and Shalba were fighting. Everyone began looking into the sky to see multiple magic circles colored in dark black and crimson color beginning to form. The fall of a dragon. The entire area turned into dust while the old Satan looked up to see Issei. The man was staring down at him without any remorse for what he was doing. However, for a brief moment, Shalba was able to see something that he never thought was possible. Behind the berserker was a massive crowd of people in the red dragon balance breaker form. They were the last hosts that have finally been able to set free from the curse. The cursed was Issei's newest form. That alone was terrifying. But behind all of them, behind all of the Red Dragon Emperors, right above them, Issei stood, the Welsh Dragon of Domination, Drag Wyosh in all of his glory. Shalba muttered a few words before he died. "Curse you, evil Dragon Emperor." With that, Issei had killed another Satan-class being with ease. Scene change. Rainier was trying her best into rolling away. She didn't even want to know what Issei was going to do to her. Well, you finally got what you deserved, Kala Warner said. Kala Warner was seen standing in front of the limbless Rainier with a smirk on her face. Millet was beside her, while Donasik was watching them with a disappointed face. "Wait, I know that I messed up before, but give me another chance," Rainier said. "No, we would rather have our position in the Gregor's back. However, that boy over there," Kala Warner said. Kala Warner stared at Issei, who was roaring into the heavens, barely in control with his actions. "He's the one who deserves to deal with you. Even Azazel doesn't deserve to deal with you," Kala Warner replied. In an instant, Issei was in front of Rainier, ignoring the others. In the area, Issei grabbed Rainier's face and forced her into looking him directly into his eyes. Seeing the blood-red eyes filled with anger, resentment, and like no other, Issei breathed heavily, sending shivers down Rainier's spine. She wanted to close her eyes, but Issei's presence forced her into continuously looking into her eyes. "Everything that you've done brought upon this moment. The moment that you're nothing but a worthless crow in front of my eyes," Issei said. Rainier couldn't speak. She was just recently used to provoke the monster that Issei was the person that she admired the most. But not even the person was killed without any effort by Issei. She was now alone. She was a rogue. She didn't have any meaning in life anymore. "Now, I made a promise." Issei slammed his fist against the woman's face, breaking all of her teeth and shattering whatever was left of her jaw. Issei continued bashing her head against the ground, making sure that it was nothing but a bloody mess. Everyone watched as the woman was screaming for her life, but all they knew, the woman deserved it. Even the happy Irina was livid at the fact that her childhood friend's parents were murdered by a supernatural, especially by the same fallen angel that had killed her childhood friend. Rainier looked at Issei while he wanted to sear her destroyed face and began begging for her life. Please, please stop. I'm sorry for what I did, Reynard said. Issei continued bashing her head until, boom! Her head finally exploded, and her body was turned into nothing but black feathers. I'll be making sure to clown on you for the rest of eternity. Just how like Hitler is treated like garbage in the human world, I'll be making sure the same happened to you in the supernatural world, Issei said. With that, Issei was going to revert to his normal form until he sensed another presence in the air. Turning, he began seeing an army of fallen angels from Kokaville's side, and an army of devils from Shalba's side. They all began screaming about Issei being a traitor and should have been killed by them for killing the real kings of the world. Annoying, Issei said. Issei pulled out both of his hands forwards. The aura that was surrounding him began concentrating on a singular point. Issei had finally unlocked all the techniques that were exclusive to the Juggernaut Drive, and his favorite was this mood. Heavenly tears. Rupture the skies! A powerful glared light that was never seen before. The light began annihilating everything surrounding it, destroying the entire army of strays and rogues with relative ease, even beginning to be able to change the color of the atmosphere. For a few moments, Issei had massacred an entire army within seconds. On the other side, another presence was floating. The White Dragon Emperor was astonished in seeing the massacre that the Red Dragon had brought. Even then, he was still excited to meet the Red Dragon Emperor in person. The White Dragon Emperor was in the air and watching him from a distance, watching as the Red Dragon Emperor had mutated his Juggernaut Drive into something far more sinister and more stable. Issei and the White Dragon Emperor were locking eyes for what they seemed like hours until the White Dragon dived straight towards him. Divide! Feeling a small amount of his power being taken away, even the White Dragon Emperor was surprised in seeing the Berserker just standing in the middle of the pile of black feathers without feeling any visible fatigue. Partner, Volley said. Partner, I suggest entering the Juggernaut Drive. This isn't the normal Red Dragon Emperor anymore. This is the incarnation of the Juggernaut Drive curse into a physical being. This might not be the most fearful, deadly, and monstrous Red Dragon Emperor. This might be the most fearful, deadly, and monstrous Red Dragon Emperor. He might have been right. He isn't the Red Dragon Emperor anymore. This is the first evil Dragon Emperor, Albion finished. Volley. Once hearing the concern from his partner, Volley was even more pumped up before and was ready to fight against the newest Red Dragon Emperor. However, before he could do anything, a pressure so large began pressing upon him, beginning to slam him onto the ground. From the pressure alone, Issei was forcing upon his full killer intent upon the White Dragon Emperor. Volley was visibly shaking from the depth of Issei's negative energy. Issei was looking at him with the same anger filled in his eyes that he and both Kokaville and Reynard. Volley tried his best to raise himself. Albion, a little help here, Volley said. Partner, I'll try to divide the pressure as much as I can. Just deal with running away. Volley wasn't going to run away. Boost! Issei gradually approached Volley, while the white-haired boy tried his best to stand up. In that moment, Issei appeared right behind Volley and decided to land one of the most devastating blows onto the white-haired boy, reeling his fist back, beginning to enhance his power to an acceptable level. Boost! Boost! Once concentrating with back of Volley, while he was in his balance breaker state, Issei destroyed Volley's entire back and sent the boy flying into the sky at speeds barely anyone could even comprehend. Issei shattered the entire barrier around the city, shattering all the magic spells that were connected with the city. Issei blew away everyone in the area. Some were even knocked out of the shock waves that were produced. Once the chaos calmed down, Issei was standing in the middle of the massacre crater, while in the sky had a massive hole. A single moment passed, and the sky began pouring down. Issei had just changed the weather with a single punch. And that is the end of Chapter 25. Chapter 26. Berserk. Issei, you poor boy. Even going through so much, you still saved us all, Rias said. Rias spoke with sorrowful tone, finally knowing the truth of the change that occurred with Issei. From his prevented beast-type personality, which was quite comical, to his far darker and crueler personality combined with his malicious aura. Rias may have been the only 1 year older than Issei, but thanks to her being her mother's daughter and taking her personality, she felt absolutely terrible for Issei. Slowly, tears began releasing from her eyes, seeing the way Issei was standing with his head down while his face was facing the sky. The beautiful hole in the sky brought a vibrant light which shined upon Issei, glorifying the armor as he wore, showing the true color and menacing pose that Issei was currently in. Akeno, We failed to do the one thing that my sister entrusted us with. We failed to save the humans in this territory, Rias said. Akeno, knowing the pain of losing someone, felt sympathy towards Issei, but she still had her father, which she still held grudges with, but Issei had lost his entire family in a single week of him becoming a part of the supernatural world. She didn't want to answer Rias, knowing that it was partially her fault. Issei, hey Issei, Irina said. Irina screamed towards Issei, but Zenobia grabbed her by the shoulder, preventing the little joyful woman from jumping straight towards Issei, turning towards Zenobia. Even from what they have learned, the father of the church, the father of the fallen angels, and the father of heaven was killed during the Great War. She saw the sorrowful eyes that Zenobia was giving her. Let him have his moment. He needs it. You heard the things that happened to him. You saw what happened to him. And you saw the way he acted. He needs a little time to himself, Zenobia said. Irina, after many attempts to deny Zenobia, eventually accepted and stood by her friend. Issei was seen finally losing the armor that the berserker form had. Issei Hyodo, you have not only shown that you're more worthy than anyone else to wield the boosted gear, but you've also shown the determination and power that you have when wanting what you desire. Something that many don't have. Not only have been a great friend, even with our ups and downs, you have also gave me a great time with speaking with you and the bullying Alicia. But please, partner, wake the fuck up. You've got to get the medical attention now or else you will die, Drake said. Drake hoped for the best from his partner, but he was still not budging. From the broken armor came out with something horrifying. Issei was seen completely covered in blood while his left side and his stomach was showing. The destroyed boy was standing in the middle of the crater that he formed with his fist in the sky. Issei had not only defeated a captured class being combined with powerful sacred gear, but he defeated one of the most wanted criminals in the supernatural world. He also destroyed the White Dragon Emperor with one single punch. Rias was in proximity of arguably the most powerful dragon emperor. When pushed to insanity, Akeno was horrified when seeing the one that saved him in such a critical state. She began looking around Issei's body to see many holes that Issei had. Rias, when seeing the destroyed body of Issei, began tearing up at seeing such an innocent boy being forced into such a state while going through the things that a human boy should not have gone through. The moment that the true monster had finally arrived. Rias, where is Issei? I don't sense his energy anymore, Sirzex says. Sirzex had arrived. After dealing with the Devil Council, she was able to arrive with a small army. When seeing Rias with her critical cut on her side, Sirzex was beginning to boil with rage. However, she walked towards Rias and kneeled down. She was glad that Rias was alive, but in a stable condition, but seeing Issei nowhere to be seen was beginning to worry her. Rias, where's Issei? Sirzex said. She spoke in a worried tone. This was the moment that Rias had been worried for. Slowly began to moving her hand face toward the direction of Issei. Zenobia and Irina were seen watching this with confusion. Akeno, who was beside them, began shaking in fear, knowing how much Issei meant to Sirzex, not knowing that Sirzex had a feeling for Issei. Slowly, Sirzex turns toward the direction that Rias was pointing towards the look of hope. But that all changed when she saw the condition that Issei was in. Rias, when seeing her sister beginning to tear up, she slowly walked towards her sister, but was sent flying into the sky by the quick outburst of energy. What the hell happened here? Sirzex said. Sirzex walked towards the standing body. She was late once more. The moment that she was late, the moment that Issei was harmed severely. Walking towards the body, Issei was just looking up in the sky with his hollow eyes. Issei, this isn't funny. Wake up. Come on. You need medical attention, Sirzex says. Sirzex closed the gap between the two. She slowly caressed the boy's face, feeling the many scars and blood that were apparent on Issei's face. Sirzex began bursting with tears. Rias was beginning to tear up, seeing the scene in front of her. Kiba turned and while sighing with sadness, seeing that the man that saved them being in such a state. Yet, he was trying to get his revenge on an inanimate object. Irina was devastated in seeing Issei's state. She had fought for the worst and began tearing up, seeing the family that she knew and loved. The mother and the father of Issei, including Issei himself, being killed by the supernatural world. However, the atmosphere began to thicken, the aura that was beginning to be released by Sirzex's body. Issei, he's asleep. Let him sleep. He deserves it, Drake said. Once hearing the sorrowful tone from the powerful dragon, Sirzex slowly tapped him. The moment that she tapped him, the moment that when Issei immediately fell right onto Sirzex's lap. Issei, why does this always happen to you? Sirzex caressed Issei's face, the right side. Issei, He fought with all that he could. He wasn't ready for both Shalba and Kokaville to fight him head on. Both of them demolished him until he finally snapped from seeing the same woman that killed his parents in front of him alive. Issei transformed into a more stable yet energy-draining and harmful version of the Juggernaut drive. This is the aftermath. Issei was isolated on purpose by the enemy. On purpose, Drake said. Surzex began feeling anger like never before, hearing that Shalba was involved with the entire assassination. Knowing about Shalba being one of the descendants of the original Beelzebub, Surzex began to feel boiling rage, remembering the massacre the old ancient devil had brought upon the supernatural society during the Civil War. But now he had destroyed the one man that Surzex had strong feelings for. She should have been here. Damn her title and her responsibilities of being Lucifer. Surzex began crushing herself in her decision to try to negotiate with the old devil council to prevent another war between the fallen angels and devils. But here, she was regretting her entire decision. Holding on to Issei's body, she quickly began expanding her power to extend that no one has seen. Slowly, was reaching the level that she had shut down during the Civil War. After this, we'll be having a great time. I'll be make sure to bring you back to the human world, even allow you to skip schools for a few weeks if you live. Please, Issei, please live. After hearing nothing, not a single twitch, she continued crying while the others began seeing the great Lucifer powerful cry beginning to break down. Seeing Issei's body, hearing about Shalba's involvement in this entire assassination began to remind her of the time of the Devil Civil War. During the time, her life took a huge turn for the worst. Now she was seen caressing another person that she held dearly. With even more passion than even Rias, she was beginning to slowly hug Issei's body near herself. Slowly, Surzex had formed a small barrier around Issei's body to make sure that he wouldn't be affected by her power of destruction, but she knew that it wouldn't sustain her rage. Gradually, Surzex was released Issei from her grip, knowing that she was getting out of control. She was beginning to harm the environment around her. She wanted to make sure that she wouldn't be able to harm Issei from the amount of pain that he already had sustained during the rough battle with the two Satan-class beings. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for being such a failure devil being, Issei, Surzex finishes. Before completely leaving, Surzex quickly kissed the boy on the forehead, before placing him onto the ground and walking towards the other side, motioning towards some of Rias' barrage to deal with Issei's body. Quickly, she released all of her rage, roaring into the heavens. The power that she began showing started to make the entire mortal realm shake. The power that she showed even was more powerful than when she showed her strongest form during the Devil Civil War. This power was grand, to the point where she could be considered the goddess among the devils. Her power is beginning to scare all those beings in the supernatural world. Damn you all to hell, Surzex says. Even Surzex was seen having tears beginning to run down her face. The pressure of being current Lucifer, the massive number of restrictions she had, the amount that was expected of her, the failures that she had shown, the many times that she had failed her family, the many times that she had failed Issei, the destruction that could cause any time, and the failure that she had shown today. It reminded her of Issei's previous state when he survived the Juggernaut drive. Surzex finally snapped, entered into her humanoid destruction form. The power alone began shaking the entire heaven, hell and earth. This was one of the strongest beings, a being that even the strongest of gods feared. This was Surzex Lucifer, and she wasn't smiling anymore. Scene change. Michael was making sure that the system with the sacred gears was working properly after a mutation that occurred with the boosted gear. Michael was one of the busiest beings in the world, taking all of the important paperwork that Heaven and his father usually dealt with. It was exhausting, but thanks to his super speed and reaction, he would usually be done with all the work in a few hours, looking up the many mutations that the boosted gear would receive during the time that Issei could casually lose control and ignore his limits. He felt kind of curious with the boosted guild's wielder. Michael knew that the sacred gear, specifically the Longinus sacred gears, can easily surpass the sacred gear above their ranking, depending on the host, but this boosted gear wielder seems to be wanting to take it to the extreme. Sighing with many questions that he had, Michael continued glancing at the holded boosted gear. Dear Father, why does the boosted gear keep mutating? Not only that, but this might be also one of the most powerful dragon emperors to have ever existed, Michael said. Michael sighed, knowing the mutation peak meant for growth, with knowing the true extent of the Longinus sacred gears. However, he began sensing the immense power that was being released. The power was easily the scale of the catastrophic of the supernatural world. He knew who the power was coming from, the Devil Queen herself, Serzek's Lucifer, and she wasn't in a good mood. The last time he had sensed such power on a scale was during the Great War, when his father had shown some light to the supernatural world. Serzek's Lucifer was known for being a great force in the supernatural world, even being to be stated a threat to Go Shiva, the being directly behind Great Red and Orpheus and top beings in the supernatural world. "Dear father, what is this power?" Michael said. Michael, without many angels knowing, had decent friendship with Serzek, even if he was on guard with speaking to her due to the influence his older brother had on him. He knew that something had happened and decided to quickly teleport towards the location. Scene change. Azazel was sensing all of the shit that was happening in Ko, but being the governor, he was forced into speaking with his faction. However, now, since all he had done with the entire deal with Kokaville, he finally allowed to run towards the location he held the rogue Kachtre. Once sensing his energy immediately vanishing, he was overcome with a dark and sinister energy presence that sent shivers down the old general's spine. Then, the magical presence had disappeared. Azazel knew the only one being that could do that: a dragon. He knew the only one dragon in proximity, Issei Hyodo. Connecting the dots, he knew the energy signature was coming from Issei, and it wasn't good. "Damn that Kokaville, what did he do now?" Azazel said. Azazel was going to rush towards the area until an energy signature disappeared. "What the hell?" Azazel said. Azazel was perplexed. The energy signature was gone. However, he thought the worst and thought that Issei had died. Azazel knew that a war with the devils would be inevitable at that point. Rushing him with his gear, he realized that even artificial sacred gears that he created was gone. "Kokaville," Azazel said. Azazel spoke in the most disappointed tone as he could. The man that he had trusted the title of Kachtre had deceived him at the highest degree. Azazel knew that things were going to be troublesome for him, but now was not the time. He began preparing a magic circle to appear beside the Red Dragon Emperor. Scene change. Michael and Azazel both appeared beside each other to see Serzek in her humanoid destruction form. "Azazel, what the hell is happening?" Michael said. "I don't know what's happening with Serzek, but I do know one of my most trusted people had deceived me and wanted to destroy the entire biblical factions," Azazel said. Michael sighed, knowing the rumors of Kokaville being rogue was true, but that didn't explain what was happening with Serzek. There was no way they would even be able to scratch Serzek in this form. She was able, incarnation of destruction, was basically invulnerable to all attacks in this form. Unless she was overwhelmed, Serzek turned towards them and didn't move. She'd finally gone berserk. However, behind them were the three Seraphim. "Brother, what's happening?" Gabriel said. Gabriel, the innocent woman that was deemed the prettiest woman in heaven, had sensed her brother's disappearance in this powerful energy source in the human world. Raphael was also beside Gabriel, wondering the same thing. "Brother, what's happening with the current Lucifer? Why is she glowing like that?" Raphael said. Uriel said, and he was interrupted by a specific devil king being beside him. "Damn it. I was late," Ajuka said. Ajuka. The other super devil was beginning to sweat seeing Serzek in her super devil form. "Looks like it's time for a showdown between the two devils." "Ajuka, what the hell do we do to calm her down?" Azazel said. "Where's that boy? The boy that's always beside her," Ajuka says. Ajuka tried to look for Issei, but he couldn't find him. That was then with Rias, with great effort, approached Ajuka. "Ajuka, I know this isn't the time to say this, but my sister seems to be using her emotions for power. She's using her emotions that are controlling her actions. This seemed to be happening because of the destroyed state of Issei," Rias said. And Rias could say anything because she was sent flying away from the shockwaves, forcing into her, crashing into the bunch of buildings. "Damn, there seems to be only two options left," Ajuka said. Everyone was specifically waiting for his response, which he hesitantly said. "We either try our best to at least calm her down, because there's no way we're going to be able to defeat her, or we get that boy back here, because I have a feeling that he and Serzek have a far greater connection with each other than any they show in the public," Ajuka says. Serzek began releasing even more power than before. Serzek was already known for being many times stronger than even the original Lucifer, but with her emotions increasing her magical output, how powerful should she be now? "I hate to say this, but I think we all need to work on this one," Michael said. "Yeah, and a potential way for us to actually begin a process for peace. I agree with you on that one." They all got ready for the battle against the legendary queen. And that is the end of Chapter 26, Berserk. Chapter 27, Creation vs. Destruction. Ajuka walked as Serzek began walking towards them. She wasn't in the best state of mind. Now she was going to fight against the angels and fallen angels. This wasn't going to be pretty for them. Quickly, all the leaders were able to cast a barrier brought to them to another parallel dimension to ensure that the humans in their world wouldn't be destroyed by the destruction that they will bring. "Everyone, be on guard," Ajuka says. Serzex was looking at Azazel. She was looking at Michael. In this state of mind, Serzex only saw the wings of an angel and Michael. Well, the wings of an angel and a fallen angel, as those of the fallen race, the race that nearly killed her sister, more importantly, Issei, in a single moment. Serzex had a shot of a small burst of destruction straight towards the group, forcing Ajuka to enter his super devil form, in which he was finally able to use the Kenkara formula to manipulate the balls of destruction to reverting into nothingness. Serzex rushed straight towards the group with fist ready to pummel whoever was coming into contact with her. Ajuka quickly began using his fighting position with the great certain Seraphim, and Azazel began backing up to devise a powerful strategy into subduing the woman. Serzex, Lucifer, please forgive me for what I'm about to do, Ajuka says. Ajuka quickly clashed fists with Serzex. Even in his super devil form and using the Karahara formula, he wasn't able to completely negate the natural destruction that Serzex brings to her foes from even the slightest instance of contact with her. Serzex took advantage of Ajuka slowly flinching in pain and continued her onslaught with even more power. Ajuka slowly saw that his hand was burning with many blows that they were exchanging. Serzex was known for being the strongest devil in existence for a reason. She quickly reeled her fist back, filling her fist with destructive energy, concentrating the energy into a singular point on top of her fist. She was going to land a direct blow, which have been lethal for Ajuka, even in his super devil form. However, Ajuka was able to dodge the blow, manipulate his magic into sending himself back. Serzex quickly appeared right behind Ajuka, catching him off guard and began sending him in multitudes of blows that severely damaged Ajuka. Ajuka slowly began coughing up blood with both from the energy destruction burning to him and the sheer amount of force behind Serzex's punches. However, once Serzex was going to end the combo with a powerful sledgehammer blow, Ajuka was able to quickly manipulate his magic to force him into blowing himself back away from the deadly blow. There was little to no chance for him to win if they were in close quarter combat, but where he specialized over any devil was in long range combat. Backing away, Serzex quickly sent a barrage of magical balls of destruction, which was perfect for Ajuka. Beginning to use his brain, he began calculating for many ways for him to manipulate the balls of destruction to his favor. Maneuvering the balls around him, Ajuka was able to gradually force the balls into being combined with him, while Serzex, with a massive rage behind her, began manipulating her energy of destruction into a powerful beam. She sent the beam rocketing towards Ajuka, expecting the beam to connect and deal with him. However, Ajuka was far smarter than that. He was quickly his arms around to quickly reverse the trajectory of the beam into hitting Serzex while enhancing the beam's output and condensing the beam into being far deadlier than before. Moving his arms once more, sending a barrage of balls towards destruction at the woman. Ajuka was already taking the massive advantage of the battle. Once the smoke cleared, there stood Serzex with her hands up defending herself with not a single sign of fatigue nor any damage. Ajuka needed to think smarter than this, beginning to manipulate the energy around him, rushing back towards the four great Seraphs. Ajuka was able to use the Kenkara's formula. Sorry for this, but I need this, Ajuka says. Flashback. Michael and Azazel, the brightest of the bunch of angels in the area currently, watched Ajuka and Serzex fighting with all they had. Ajuka isn't going to last long, Azazel says. I know, but he's our only hope. If he can at least bring Serzex into the being around our level, then we'll have a chance of surviving, Michael says. Brother, what do you want me to do? Gabriel says. Michael looked at her with a smile. He wanted to make sure that Gabriel wouldn't fear the situation they were in. Currently, none of the great Seraphs or any fallen would have been in the same plane of power that Serzex and Ajuka are in. We'll begin to form the largest spear that has ever been created besides Father's spear, Michael says. I agree. However, we'll be needing to use all the power, which will result in us completely being wide open to any attacks to the side, Raphael said. We must. This is the only way for to save our factions and our lives to make sure that our father's promise will be carried out, Michael slowly said. Raphael slowly agreed, knowing that Michael knew that what father went the best. Beside Lucifer himself, Azazel decided to take part of the whole operation. I'll try and contact the others from my department. I'll join you soon in forming the spear, Azazel said. They all nodded in the spear their wings. Hovering in the air, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel began placing all their energy into an attack that they plan on creating. Over time, the spear began increasing the size, beginning to become more powerful enough to finally be able to damage the two super devils that were fighting. However, Ajuka quickly crashed into the ground with some blood being spilled into the ground. He quickly muttered the words, sorry for this, but I need this. Ajuka, with the use of the Kenkara's formula, was able to divide the light spears that Azazel as angels and Azazel were creating into an equal spear. Taking one for himself, he began enhancing the size and power of the spear, while beginning to slowly shrink the spear. Using his brain, he began to slowly split the spear into 4 parts of his pure holy magic. Combining his super devil form, not his physical being, he was able to condense the magic to entirely coat himself. Looking at Sir Zex, who was running straight towards him, he quickly sent another barrage of magical attacks, but this attack was filled with holy magic. Each hit began hitting Sir Zex, forcing her to block the attacks. Well, there goes half of our efforts. Everyone, begin to place even more energy, Michael said. They all agreed with their older brother, the current leader of the Heaven faction. Flashback end. Ajuka continued sending beams. With the Concuris formula, he was able to use the hands to throw the beams from afar while he closed the gap in between the two. Appearing in front of Sir Zex, who had already predicted this, she quickly sent a bone-shattering kick to Ajuka, which he was too slow to dodge. Shit, Ajuka said. Both of them felt pain. Sir Zex felt a slight burning feeling when hitting Ajuka's head. She felt as if she touched a massive reserve of holy magic. Damn it, Ajuka said. Ajuka was sent skidding across the ground, until crashing onto another building. Stopping himself to see Sir Zex rushing at him, he quickly calmed himself and waited for the moment. Once Sir Zex came into reach with a powerful attack prepared, she began reeling her fist back with surrounding magic in her fist. Ajuka stood still, manipulating the destruction energy in her hand, forcing her to move to the right, allowing for him to slightly lean his head back to the right side and perfectly dodge the powerful fist coming at him. Sir Zex, being completely caught off guard, was soon met with a devastating kick to the face. Filled with magical energy enhanced by Ajuka to the utmost that he could ensure that he would be able to actually physically hit Sir Zex. Sir Zex widened her eyes when feeling the blows connecting with her body. Once following through the kick, Sir Zex was launched into the ground with such force that she created a massive indentation into the ground. The entire area shook, sending the unconscious bodies of all the weaker beings, Rias, Paraj, and their church duo, even further back in the dimension. Ajuka wasn't a joke. He was one of the most powerful super devils, only second to Sir Zex. Quickly, Ajuka needed to extend the damage that he had dealt onto Sir Zex. Manipulating the magic around him, Ajuka began concentrating the energy above his head. Kankara's barrage, Ajuka says. The attack connected with Sir Zex, sending a massive explosion that blinded everyone in the area. The entire area that we're in were beginning to shake from the pure raw destruction that was happening. However, Ajuka wasn't finished just yet. He was going to make sure to use all of his power to defeat Sir Zex, to ensure that she doesn't destroy the biblical factions. Ajuka rushed into the destruction. Do it, Ajuka, Azazel said. Azazel screamed from afar, while watching Ajuka was doing. Once reaching Sir Zex's location, who was in the ground in her true form, Ajuka finally decided to use the destruction that he had created. Using the magic that was released into the air by his attack, well as his magical reserves, Sir Zex slowly began to get up. Ajuka finally decided to use his ultimate attack. Kankara's Kamikaze! Once the smoke cleared, Ajuka was seen standing with blood all over his body. He was slowly limping towards the edge of the crater that he had formed. However, he began sensing the presence of Sir Zex behind him. Turning towards the energy signature, his eyes widened when seeing Sir Zex standing with a massive shield of destruction. She tried her best to negate the damage inflicted upon them by the powerful attack, but she still sustained a massive amount of damage. Blood was coming out of her mouth. The power of destruction was far superior to that of Ajuka in close-quarter combat situation. Ajuka was beginning to back up. Shit, Ajuka said. Ajuka tried his best to force himself into entering his super devil form, but his magic reserves were far too limited until allowing him to enter that form. Ajuka slowly needed time to stall for time, placing his hands in front of him, prepared for the worst beating that he was going to receive. Sir Zex quickly decided to end the battle with a powerful onslaught of attacks. Screaming into the heavens, she quickly began powering up even further than before, surpassing the expectations of everyone. Ajuka was astonished by the might of Sir Zex. He didn't expect her to be even more powerful than during the super devil war. Damn, Ajuka says. Ajuka finally began seeing Sir Zex as being surrounded by her magic of destruction. Her body was emitting this dark crimson color due to her killer intent, which she was beginning to release. Slowly, everyone was taken back by that massive power that Sir Zex was finally showing. The Queen of the Underworld wasn't playing around anymore. Sir Zex said. Zex started coughing. Even though Ajuka had basically lost the battle, he was still able to land a devastating blow onto Sir Zex that severely injured the woman. Sir Zex was known as the strongest devil for a reason. She was known for destruction, devastation, and fear when entering her super devil form. Ajuka was known for being the brilliant one, the strategic. Ajuka gulped with a slight bit of nervousness when seeing Sir Zex finally beginning to walk towards him. He never expected for her to be even more powerful than her devil Civil War self. I have a feeling this is going to get brutal, Ajuka says. However, in that moment, being off guard, the immense power Ajuka finally saw that he never anticipated. Kunkara's shield, Ajuka said. Forming a shield as fast as he could, Ajuka's instincts were right because Sir Zex was already in front of him. His shield would be able to sustain a massive amount of damage before breaking, but how much would it be? Sir Zex continued punching the shield. Each punch began slowly cracking the shield. Ajuka, with all of his efforts and mights, began enhancing the shield to ensure that it would be far more resilient than before. However, Sir Zex began punching even faster, punching straight through the rejuvenation of the shield. Eventually, the great effort from Ajuka had failed to fight against the destructiveness that Sir Zex brought. Shatter! The shield shattered. Ajuka was forced into blocking whatever Sir Zex was going to bring. However, Sir Zex was able to land a devastating blow right before Ajuka could put his guard up. Taking advantage of the stunned Ajuka, Sir Zex began using most of her powerful attacks, reeling her arm back, using all of the destruction that she could. This was her rival that she was fighting, so taking him down would be the best idea. She appeared directly in front of Ajuka at speeds that he could barely comprehend. Taking her hand, having her purplish electricity, she glared at Ajuka before finally landing a clean blue straight on the same spot where she broke his jaw. Going straight through, following the punch, Sir Zex appeared straight behind Ajuka, while an unfortunate devil finally began falling to his knees in defeat. That was when the destruction finally occurred and blew away the area Ajuka within the sky. Ajuka had finally been defeated by the enraged berserk Sir Zex. However, Sir Zex began kneeling on the ground from the pain, finally beginning to process in her mind. Sir Zex started coughing again, coughing up blood. Slowly reverting back to her normal form, she was beginning to feel the pain of Ajuka's attack. However, her rage began controlling her once more and forced her into entering her true form. Ajuka may have lost the battle, but he sure as hell weakened Sir Zex by a massive amount. There was still hope in winning this thanks to Ajuka. And that is the end of Chapter 27, Creation vs. Destruction. And that is where we're going to stop for now, and that is the end of Part 9. Thank you guys so much for the support. Don't leave just yet. Remember, What If Goku Was Too Overpowered will be coming out soon. I probably am going to make a Betrayed series with Goku as well, but I want to take my time on that because, well, you know, everybody's doing it. I actually, as you guys know, I originally did think of that idea like 8 months back when I was doing the What If Issei Betrayed series, but I wish I nailed it on the coffin then, because obviously it clearly would have blown up from seeing everybody else's videos. But hey, it is what it is, am I right, guys? But, so, yeah, thank you for all the support. It's been absolutely amazing. So, oh, and the What If Goku Betrayed series that I've been seeing on YouTube are absolutely, like, phenomenal. Like, I think they're, especially Deku, or Deku DBS theories. I really like that guy's, What If. But, thank you so much for the support. I really do like you guys watching these videos. I cannot thank you enough for being here. Trust me, your boy, you know, your boy's on the grind. Okay, let's just put it that way. So, once again, let's try to hit 500 to 600 likes. Once again, of course, thank you to all of my balance breakers, which is the highest membership tier. If you guys want to know exactly when I upload, just click the blue button right next to the subscribe button. You can join Limit Breaker, which is only $3 a month. Super cheap. Made it pretty reasonable for you guys to track my uploads. And to get a shout out, you just become a balance breaker, which is a little bit more expensive. So, thank you so much for the support. I cannot thank you enough. Without further ado, remember to go subscribe to Amp Palpowski, link down in the description below. And my Twitch channel, I've been streaming on there recently. Showed my face, so if you want to see it again, I'm sure I got more subscribers than last time. But, so some of you don't know who I am or what I look like. But without further ado, Spartanic Arts, DXD, out.